This is Defenders on TV Podcast Industries. We're back for the finale of Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 8, The Southern Cross.
When I was a boy, I was taught to find the biggest man and bring him down. But as I grew, I realized that no man stands as tall as this courthouse, these institutions.
That was lovely, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us today.
Not at all. I consider it my civic duty, and I welcome the opportunity to see my Safer Streets initiative in action, to see justice prevail.
I was a little surprised that you showed up.
I could say the same for you.
Thank you. I'll live.
Welcome back, fellow defenders, to TV Podcast Industries. We are on to the finale of Daredevil Born Again, Season 2, Episode 8, The Southern Cross. I am one of your hosts, Derek.
I went and found the biggest man in this podcast duo and took him down. And that's why I am Chris, taking down the John.
Yes, we are joined by Chris, finally, and we're kind of joined by John.
When I was a boy, I was taught to never podcast when I have a sore throat. And so I will be leaving now.
Yes.
I'm surprised I'm here too.
Yes.
Wilson Fisk. I believe it's my civic duty.
It's a great sound. It would work really well for the podcast, but there's no way I can ask John to join us for the finale of the podcast. But the good news is we do have the pub quiz. We have the final question of the pub quiz coming up later on today. And when we do our wrap up with the pub quiz, John will be back for that and hopefully feeling much, much better and tell us all his thoughts about this season of Daredevil Born Again. But John, if you were to give it a rating, because we can't get all of your details, if you were to give it a rating, what would you rate this episode?
I would give this 5 Indian takeouts out of 5.
Fantastic, yes. A good Indian takeout.
Yes.
Yeah, that's something you love. 5 Indian takeouts out of 5 would be the worst thing for me, really.
So, fellow defenders, I'm very sorry I can't be on the podcast because of my throat. But remember, keep watching, keep listening, and keep hacking up lots of guitar.
Fantastic.
Bye,
Thanks, John.
Bye.
Talk to you on the boys.
Bye.
And off he toddles on his way to take
Cell
care of
Block
himself.
H.
To Cell Block D or Cell Block H, maybe, yes. Well, thanks so much to John, of course, for joining us for that quick second. You can understand, fellow defenders, why he isn't joining us for the rest of the episode. I've just got my normal gravelly voice. That's not a sore throat for me, so so I'm going to stay. Chris, how's your voice doing?
My voice is actually fine. So, yeah, I'm going to stay at least until you'll have me and throw me off for the next episode.
I am so excited that you're back for this one. It's kind of like, spoilers from here on out, obviously, it's kind of like Luke Cage has joined us, or Christopher Jones has joined us for the final episode of Daredevil Born Again. You've been watching along, of course, for the season, yeah. But we would have liked to use you more than we could have, but scheduling conflicts, just like Kristen Ritter had in New York for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, meant that you couldn't appear as often as we would have liked you to on this podcast.
No, unfortunately not, but we also recorded a stonking season of episodes of the one and only Invincible.
That was pretty stunning, wasn't it? Yes.
It was.
Yes,
and
great.
Again, so without giving away too much away, if you've watched Invincible, you'll know, and you listen to our coverage, you'll understand when I say I liked this season of Daredevil as much as I liked Invincible.
Ooh, fantastic.
Season. So,
yeah, it's been a good year for TV so far, especially for shows that we're covering on TV Podcast Industries. And if you want to get access to all of the shows that we're covering, pop on over to our website at tvpodcastindustries.com. The main feed on there has access to everything that we cover, from The Boys to Invincible to Daredevil to the Punisher show, which we'll be covering in the next couple of weeks, and, well, the Punisher episode, which we'll be covering in the next couple of weeks, and all of our episodes on Good Omens, the finale of which is out next week as well. So lots and lots of stuff to listen to over on TV Podcast Industries. We are obviously getting to the finale of Daredevil Born Again, but we do want to hear any feedback that you have on the entire series. You can email us to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com or join us over on Facebook at facebook.com/group/tvpodcastindustries. You can leave your thoughts on any of the spoiler posts in there, or you can join us on our Discord, the details of which are in the show notes for this episode as well. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And just a reminder, the last question in our pub quiz will be available later on in this episode. If you've missed any of the questions, you can pop on over to that website there that I gave you, tvpodcastindustries.com, and all of the questions are available there in pub quizzes, all 8 questions there, and you can then send in your correct answers and be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Daredevil Born Again goodies.
Ooh. But before we get into all of our discussions, Derek, do you want to tell us who gave us what, where, when, and how in this very special finale episode?
Absolutely, yeah. The episode was directed by Iain B. MacDonald, who was the director of episode 7, and the episode was written by the showrunner Dario Scardapane and Jesse Wigutow, who wrote episode 7. So, the team's all back on board for this big finale. And once again, they've been pairing the directors for 2 episodes at a time. So having Iain B. MacDonald, who's been with the MCU right back to The Punisher on Netflix, kind of cool to have him here closing out the series as well.
Excellent stuff.
Chris, with that, would you like to give us the synopsis for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8, The Southern Cross?
Sure. As Karen Page's trial continues, Matt Murdock calls his first witness, Mayor Wilson Fisk. Matt presents the video testimony of the late Christofi Savva, who confirms that the captain scuttled the ship on the orders of the mayor because Daredevil was aboard and found the illegal weapon shipment. District Attorney Hochberg pushes to disregard the testimony of Christofi because he isn't in the courtroom, so Matt reveals that he is Daredevil. He corroborates the testimony and gets the case dismissed, since the entire program, from the Anti-Vigilante Task Force to the Safer Streets Act to the court itself, was set up to divert attention away from the criminal Wilson Fisk. Outside the courtroom, Bullseye foils Mayor Fisk's backup plan by stopping the AVTF officers from assassinating Murdock. Instead, Bullseye takes a shot at Fisk, but it hits Buck Cashman. The attack prompts Fisk to lock down the courthouse with his AVTF standing guard. Daredevil supporters surround the building, encouraged by Bibi Ulrich to rise up in memory of all their friends and neighbours lost to the AVTF and Fisk's laws so far. As the threats from Officer Powell escalate, Cole North finally turns on him as he becomes disillusioned with his orders to kill retired Detective Cherry. He lets the resistance into the courthouse as the Attorney General of New York State offers Fisk a deal to avoid charges. But, unwilling to step down, Wilson Fisk attacks and kills numerous protesters. Eventually, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and Angela Del Toro fight their way through the AVTF officers until they reach Fisk. Matt eventually convinces Fisk to take the deal. In the aftermath, Fisk leaves New York. The AVTF officers are arrested. Heather Glenn continues to spiral as she puts on Muse's mask, and Jessica Jones reunites with Luke Cage, as Bullseye has replaced him in the service of Mr. Charles. At the New York Bulletin, Bibi Ulrich is hired by Mitchell Ellison and given a box of her Uncle Ben's reports to welcome her to the team. As Matt Murdock and Karen Page fantasize about living a normal life together, Matt is arrested and imprisoned for his actions as Daredevil.
As Daredevil sleeps his first night in prison. Yeah.
With a wry smile on his face.
Yes.
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 But we have
He's
lots.
inside.
Yes. Lots to go through, lots to discuss. So, should we get into our top 5 case notes?
Order! Order! Time for the defense to present their evidence. I should have just re-recorded that as case is dismissed, our case note number 1, because the trial takes center stage right from the beginning of this episode, exactly where it should be in a Daredevil show. A Daredevil show, you've always got the action and you always got the court case, and this time the court case really takes it over from the beginning, doesn't it? I really love this, the start of the episode where we have everybody in the courtroom waiting for Matt to arrive. We know he got shot at the end of the last episode in the leg, but they're wondering whether he died. They're hearing nothing from him. He's giving no response. And for some reason, Jessica Jones is tending to his wounds very brutally, kind of like Matt, if you're just like me, you've already healed and you'd be already on with your day. Stop moaning so much about this. You know, try childbirth.
Yeah, which was the best line of that whole engagement. This was fun. Mm-hmm. We were left at the end of episode 7 of kind of going, oh, how is Matt going to sort this? Like he has been shot. He is bleeding. Or I should say Daredevil is shot and bleeding. So seeing Matt kind of make his way into the courtroom and kind of give that sarcastic sly is kind of that continued very Matt Murdock, Charlie Cox kind of line delivery of like, I'm here and I nearly didn't make it, but I'm here.
Yeah.
And just so well delivered. And it just kind of feeds from there. And I think you said it right, which is Daredevil as a character in the comic books, very much so, and is nothing without the courtroom kind of lawyer side of things. Mm-hmm. And we felt that in kind of season 1, 2, and 3 of Daredevil back on Netflix days. You could see the lawyer side as much as the Man in Black and the later Daredevil pieces.
Yes.
Even throughout this season, he has very much battled with battled Karen with what is the law, how can he use the law to ensure not just vengeance but justice,
exactly.
And we see him use it in a way that we probably most people maybe thought didn't think that he did. He calls Wilson Fisk, which is a gamble, which everyone says is a gamble because it is Fisk, and even Fisk goes, I don't know if I'll do this. So seeing Matt kind of hobble in, call Fisk, and then seeing the goading between the two of them, very much, I'm going to do this. Are you going to do this? Are we really doing this? Or like, and we as an audience know what they are doing. We can tell what they're talking about, and then seeing them decide to move forward and kind of, this is it.
But I love the way it played out. I love that it's Matt's choice. Fisk is using it as a threat. Fisk is effectively saying to him, if you don't let this go through, you will be in prison at my hand. I will reveal what I know about you to everybody. And Matt's kind of going, well, you can't reveal it if I do it myself. And I'm going to use it to my advantage. Not just that I'm Daredevil. I'm going to use the knowledge that I have as Daredevil to take you down effectively, which is really cool. One thing I just want to mention to begin with is Heather Glenn is on the stand, and DA Hochberg is just using this opportunity once again, exactly the same way he did back in the trial of the swordsman at the start of the season, where he's trying to do it as this big opportunity for himself to just grandstand. He believes that because he's on the side of the mayor, he just can do anything he wants to in this circumstance. He's trying to get Heather Glenn to throw Karen under the bus by revealing what she got out of her interview with Karen. We know, because we watched the episode, that she only spent about 3 minutes with Karen, took absolutely no information from her, and then started slapping her across the face. So all of this stuff is completely useless. And then he gets her to read a passage from her book, which just the way it was done, it really did sound like Heather Glenn was going to stand up and say, and available from all good bookstores.
Yeah.
It really sounds like,
welcome to Barnes & Noble.
But I love that that's the first thing that Matt does when he walks into the room, is just goes, this is all conjecture. This is absolutely useless. You can't accept her opinions. And did you slap Karen across the face when you're in the room with her? You know, so instantly her testimony is thrown out, and Matt just steps up and does the greatest Matt Murdock defense that we've seen since probably season 3 of the Netflix shows, when he was up against Kingpin before. Really love this when they get the opportunity to play with Matt as a lawyer, and the idea that he sets the whole thing up from bringing in the video testimony that was taken and deposed by Kristen McDuffie. So he was able to use that to set everything up. We know he didn't sink the ship. We know they sank the ship because of instructions from someone they suspect to be the Kingpin or Mayor Fisk. And then if we can place Daredevil in that location, if we have Daredevil to give testimony, then everything lines up, and we know that it's all the truth. We know that this can all be pulled apart, which is just, how cool is that to be able to have that big gotcha moment? Really cool.
Yeah, no, and again, that gotcha moment really does kind of carry through. Fisk believes he is on he's going to get past this. Again, he has bribed or threatened the 3 judges as part of the court, and so he's just kind of grandstanding on the stand. So we do, as you heard at the beginning, he talks about his job was to come in and take, when he was a kid, he would come in and take on the biggest.
When he was a boy, Chris.
When he was a boy.
We got the callback.
Yes.
It was so funny. I know everybody associates that with Wilson Fisk and the Netflix series. If you've watched the original Netflix series, I think we have a special connection to that because that was our opening words for our episodes on the podcast for so long as well. So I heard it about 900 times, so many times that the second he said, when I was a boy, I was going, oh, they're actually doing a specific callback to dialogue from the original series, which was quite fun. And then also I love that we get a moment with Wilson Fisk losing it while he's on the stand, where he says to Daredevil, I am here to protect you all. I'm keeping the streets safer. You don't need to know anything further than that. You don't need to know what's going through my ports. Everything above that level is above your pay grade, little man, to him. So Wilson Fisk is losing it in front of the cameras here. People are starting to really see who he is beneath all the staged to camera pieces that he's done, beneath all the massaging that people have done around his reputation. People are really seeing what he's really like in these moments, and that plays out as the episode goes on, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think as he prods Fisk, and you see, as he says, like, as he loses it at that point, introducing the video testimony or getting it introduced, and then you have that scene where they're with the judges and they're having a whisper conversation to each other. And then the building to, well, hold on, all of this is moot because that person's not here, and but we've got you to agree that Daredevil, and then he does do the I am Daredevil. And I thought it initially lacked that very much Robert Downey Jr. I am Iron Man kind of reveal, and maybe it's a callback. It's when everyone challenges very quickly and he just throws his cane and knocks it and kind of bing, 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 and then catches it. I was like, oh, that's what you've done. Perfect. That's your I am Daredevil moment. And it's great because it does, Charlie Cox is not Robert Downey Jr. in terms of that, so he doesn't need to be. Matt Murdock and Tony Stark are not the same character. Matt is doing this because he's proving that he is Daredevil just so he can win the case.
Exactly.
It's not to do with anything else.
Yeah.
Or no.
But he's willing to accept the consequences for it. We see that later on.
Yes.
He's willing to do everything he can because he needs to take down Fisk. He needs to believe in the law. He needs to believe that if he presents the correct evidence to the court, they will do what the court does. That's what he's always believed in. That's why he's a lawyer, right? He believes in justice, as you say, not revenge. And I love the turn in it, that we have almost every single thing that D.A. Hochberg says, the judge says sustained over and over again. He's objecting to everything that's being presented by the defense. She's saying sustained. And finally, it starts to get through to her what he's saying when he's talking about the AVTF in your employ takes orders from you. The DA Hochberg in your employ takes orders from you. The court itself in your employ takes orders from you. And suddenly you see the twist in the judge saying overruled when Hochberg starts trying to object to it. And then finally the court is on his side and they say, well, we can't adjudicate this and we will look for a dismissal with prejudice. In other words, this should never have even come in front of us as a court because of how it was set up. It was just fantastic, really perfect.
And the prejudice bit does come from, I think, he admits Hochberg in the courtroom, in the chambers, admits that they won't even get to appeal. And he kind of by saying, well, look, we won't even allow an appeal once it comes through. Exactly. And you're like, oh, you're saying that part out loud?
Exactly. Are you saying that with 3 judges in the room? You're saying this will not get an appeal? That's not how the justice system works.
Yeah, so the prejudice bit, I think, also kind of locks that part down as well. But it does set up just a very happy win moment as the case is thrown out. But you do see Fisk start to kind of twitch.
Oh, yeah.
Like, angrily twitch at this point. And that does lead to some of the best next steps. Because we do get then kind of a cold cut to the AVTF officers in a corridor. And so should we move on to our point number 2? Because that kind of leads towards as the ending of now that the case is done. So case note number 2 is Bullseye takes out the poser. Which is really, it's cool. So we knew, like, in the last previous episodes, like, we have learned that Bullseye is trying to redeem himself in his own eyes. Like, do something good. And that back and forth led to the previous episodes, led to the Matt sparing him. And then Matt going to him and giving him, like, if you want to redeem yourself, this is what you need to do. Like, so Matt knew or had an idea that Fisk was going to take a shot at him or Karen or someone based on the back of, like, them losing this case. So he knew something would be happening. Because that's the only thing you can think of, because we do see then, as I said, you kind of get this kind of cuts to the AVTF in this kind of stairwell, and you just see kind of them talking, and then you see an AVTF officer upstairs, and then suddenly we get the corridor kind of stairwell again, and then you get the Bullseye as the camera's taken out and the 2 guards are killed. Then you get what we think is Bullseye setting up and walking to a window, and then you get really weird because you do then see an AVTF officer walk by and just stand in front and almost look at him, and you're like, oh god, like, wait, what's going on? Is Bullseye back working for Fisk? What's going on? And then we get the real Bullseye making his appearance known. And that's when you get the real classic Bullseye, I want to call it, like the power set. It was just really, really good to see. Like, and I think I haven't been on this season of recording. Like, they really nailed the visual and the sound and how Bullseye uses his power set in this version, I think. Like, the
definitely.
Scene in the cafe, the diner, and then here, seeing him use his knives, using his weapons, using, like, just everything, and not going straight for the kill and the one-shot kill. It's all very much like he uses once he's killed everyone or about to kill everyone, the last guy, the guy drops his gun and he uses one knife to hit the gun away. The guy flips over and then he uses another knife to spear him in the head. Yes. And I'm like, it's just very cool. He is a psychopath. He is going to take more love and kind of pleasure out of the pain and suffering.
Yes, I think he's making definitive choices, and we'll probably hear a little more about that if we do get to see the character again in the future. So Matt let him free to save the governor, and we hear the final part of that when the governor goes to Fisk to tell him to resign. That when Bullseye went to save the governor, he didn't kill her assassin, so the assassin is alive. So he specifically left the assassin alive. So that's quite interesting. I think the reason why he's actually here at the courthouse is because Wilson Fisk is trying to set up Bullseye as the killer of Matt Murdock. He doesn't know how the court case is going to go when he set it all up. You hear him talking to Buck earlier on saying that's what we need to do. It's his backup plan that if everything goes bad, when Matt leaves the courthouse, you get him shot, he's shot by Bullseye, and then you can still enact vigilante laws that he's been championing effectively. Another vigilante has taken out the great Matt Murdock, the guy he believes is a hero, right? Yeah. And Bullseye's like, not a chance. So I love that he chooses to kill the guy dressed as himself and calls him a poser just before he he puts in the killing blow. I'm not sure if he's killed all the other AVATF officers. He may have, but he specifically kills the guy that's dressed up as him and calls him a poser. So that's definitely a decision that he makes. And yeah, he tries to kill Fisk, or does he? Does he shoot Buck specifically because he knows Buck is the one that set this whole thing up?
Yeah.
That's the other kind of question. Everybody looks at it and goes, was he going to kill Fisk? There's lots of questions over that all the way throughout the season. He has wanted to go out and kill Fisk, and Matt's told him no constantly, but he does shoot towards him and takes out Buck. Would Bullseye have missed? Or did he miss on purpose to take out the guy that set up this person to take his place and in this setup? That's just a question that I had, and I don't know whether we'll hear about it in the future. But it was really cool that he has this moment here. We weren't sure whether we were going to see him after what he did last week, but yeah, him coming back feels like he did it by choice, not because he was told by somebody to be there. He went there because somebody was trying to pin it all on him.
Yeah.
And the final bit really that happens at Bullseye in the episode is that we see him at the end, that he is now working for Mr. Charles, or Mr. Robinson. He's on the flight out of the city now on what we know Matthew Lillard's, another alternate name for Matthew Lillard's character, Mr. Robinson, as they fly off to the next destination, and he's taken the place of Luke Cage. So he is on this new team that Matthew Lillard's been setting up with superpowered beings from New York.
I am hoping this pays off. My biggest fear is that this is just a loose end left hanging for the next 5 years, 10 years until they cast everyone and it's all. Because I would like to see what is going to be some form of like their Task Force X Suicide Squad type of thing.
I literally think he's adding members to the Thunderbolts New Avengers team. We know he's working with Val. Like that was established in the first episode. And we know Luke Cage is pretty heavily powered. And we know he was abroad because that's what they said last episode. He was working overseas. So now he's brought back from overseas and he's being replaced by Bullseye. That's what's said here. So we're going to see the Thunderbolts team, or some of them at least, in the upcoming movies. And we know we've got a third season of Daredevil Born Again, and they're likely to bring back Wilson Bethel in that. So let's hope that's where we're going to see it. That's a year away. Let's hope we see his character and Matthew Lillard's character back at least then, and maybe in the movies.
Yeah. I don't know about the movies, but I think at least my hope is the season 3 sets up deeper into what this character and his superpowered individuals are doing out of America. And then season 4 is that, which is, okay, we have to go stop them. Because it's illegal and not right and yada, yada, yada. Because while we still think of Luke Cage as a good guy, technically he ended his seasons and his run in the Netflix as a mobster, essentially. He took over and he became the evil in order to save and be better for Harlem. So it is kind of like, oh, okay, well, he was a bad guy. So it's an army of Dark Avengers, that type of thing, New Avengers. So I do want to see Daredevil, Bullseye, someone else versus Luke Cage, someone else versus Jessica Jones, etc., etc., etc. A Defenders series, essentially, as well. It is the Defenders versus the anti-Defenders.
Yeah, it's crazy to think, isn't it? Like we watched. I was rewatching the Defenders miniseries there a couple of weeks ago. It's amazing to think that happened after the end of season 1 of each of the shows, and I think season 2 of Daredevil. And then they all had seasons that went on afterwards, and they never did a big reuniting episode where all of them came together again. They never did it again. They never did another Defenders season 2. Would have loved to have seen that. Hopefully we get to see that at least in Daredevil next season. But maybe if everything works out and people keep watching the show, keep watching it, I keep telling you, we might get other shows spinning out from these ones and these appearances.
Hopefully.
I think that's it for our Bullseye point. Let's get on to our case note number 3. everybody in lockdown. So with those shots ringing out from across the street, taking out Buck Cashman, the opportunity is taken to go into complete lockdown in the courthouse. AVTF standing outside the courthouse, blocking everybody from coming in. Fisk inside with his team and Matt and the rest of the team, plus the governor, all inside. I absolutely love, while they're all in lockdown, Jessica Jones, of course, reaches into a drawer in our whiskey watch, to take out a bottle of whiskey and drink about 3/4 of it before, she makes any decisions to do anything else to help. It's like, oh, I am so happy that, that judges are able to keep whiskey in their bottom drawers, right?
Thank God for jurisprudence, I believe
That's
she
it.
says. That was so funny.
It's very cool. But yeah, we have this great concept of Fisk on the inside being protected by his AVTF, him choosing, because he's in there, he can make an address on the TV, telling everybody that there's been a big miscarriage of justice and everybody who believes in him should know he will always be there for the city. And we have Matt, Karen, Jessica all watching on to this performance that he's doing on TV. And we know that people are starting to see through Fisk. We've seen the attacks, we've seen the escalation of violence in New York, and this spreads out to the BB report. We see BB Urich puts out her City Without Fear report this time, calling for unity, calling for everybody to join together. It's going to be her final broadcast of the BB report. She reveals it's her behind the mask, to anybody probably won't know her very well. Although they will, of course, for the regular BB report, they will know her face from that. So she has revealed herself on the City Without Fear as being the person behind the Mayor Kingpin. And she calls for everybody that's up against him to come down to the courthouse. And we just see the city dressing up in their Daredevil costumes and coming down. It's so cool. Really, really reminded me of V for Vendetta.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I'm sure was the big inspiration for it. It just everybody coming down. I love that they used some of the masks that you can buy from Daredevil Born Again season 1 that you can buy in your local comic book shop. Loads of people running down to New York Midtown Comics to pick up their DD masks so they can join in the riots, and then they all come down and converge on the courthouse. Thought it was cool. So we have in the lead, we have the 3 major police officers that we know, Officer Kim, Cherry, and Mahoney, all leading the way, trying to get into the courthouse. So I love the standoff there as well. Really cool.
The suit up scene was great, and as you hear Matt says, "What's happening?" or you hear Karen say to Matt, "What's happening?" and it's the city is picking sides, and
Exactly.
seeing that suit up moment, not just from old DD because he gets his suit off Jessica, but you see everyone else putting on their masks and stuff, and it is, as you said, very V for Vendetta-esque.
Mm-hmm.
It is very much I Am Iron Man, where everyone, that little kid in Iron Man 2, who everyone keeps saying is Peter Parker, but sure, it's not. But anyway, he puts on an Iron Man mask and tries to blast the big robot.
I'm Spartacus, probably be the other big inspiration for these types of scenes in movies.
I am Spartacus. No, I am Spartacus. Everyone is Daredevil. I like when they get up to the courthouse there, and then you really see the old guard versus the AVTF, and we've seen them go after Cherry. We've seen them nearly kill Cherry. We've seen them nearly kill the people protecting Cherry. So seeing them just broadly and brazenly walk up to the AVTF, that is the strength in numbers moment that we kind of get.
Yeah.
And you get the ever delightful Powell just escalating things, just pushing it and like,
oh yeah,
he's the one, and he lets it slip that he killed White Tiger, that it wasn't Muse, it was them, and it was a way to frame, and then he also killed the officers. So then you see Cole go, whoa, hold on, I got burned up for nothing, and I thought I was like on the side of, I thought I was doing the good. That's where you see Cole wrestle with and then go, no. Mm-hmm. And then we get the let them through.
Yeah. And like, you know, it's been really clear that Cole was going to eventually turn on Powell, that there was going to be that moment. He did see Powell execute the guy who's helped out Karen and Matt in the past. We saw him put a bullet in his head, and North saw that happen, and then saw Powell tell people it was the vigilantes. So it was going to happen. But I do love the moment when he's effectively asking Powell, hang on a second, what did you tell me in the past? And he goes, I don't care. I told you to shoot this guy in the face. And Powell's going, no, he's an NYPD officer like we are. And it's like, no, not like us. We're different from them. Shoot him in the face. And it just gets escalated until Powell cracks him in the face with his gun and lets all of the DD supporters into the courthouse. So not as satisfying, because as we've said over the course of the last 8 episodes, Powell is the one character we do want to see gone. We want to see him taken out by a major character, hopefully Punisher. We were hoping Frank would come back and kill him here. Maybe Frank will get him in prison next week, but at least Cole North got to shut him up for a quick second.
I did wonder, because Punisher is out next week for his special, I did wonder when this ended. I was like, oh, is Frank that whole thing about him trying to spring Matt, and then Matt going, no, I don't want to be sung, but a part of it, or he gets caught and then going on his kill spree in there. Because I was like, you're right, at the end they all the baddies end up in jail, and I'm like, Frank's not gonna like that. So I as well hope, but it does lead to next season Cole, Powell, and everyone versus Matt in prison.
Yes.
So
exactly,
I was like,
Chris. Yeah.
oh, okay, maybe that's a better story.
So I think the other thing, the other way to twist it is what's happened here with Powell is he's been put in prison to take him off the board for the Punisher One Last Kill coming out next week. So he's not on the streets. He's not out in the open for Punisher to kill him. He's off the table until season 3 of Daredevil, where he'll be brought back to have a battle with Matt in the prison. Right? Yeah. That's what it feels like. So unfortunately, I don't think Punisher's One Last Kill is going to be Powell. But we'll find out next week on that one.
His one last kill will be himself.
Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe. We know that it takes place pre-season 2 of Daredevil and throughout season 2 of Daredevil. It's that timeline, basically. So it will explain why he wasn't joining up with Matt during this time, and maybe he's not around, right? Maybe that's it. One other thing I want to mention about the lockdown is that there is an offer on the table for Fisk. So we saw the governor confront Fisk and say she wants him to stand down, give up the job. He says no. And then there's another offer that comes in from the assistant governor, or the attorney general, from the attorney general, who the offer to Fisk is that he gives up his residency in New York, leaves, and he will not be prosecuted. He is allowed to leave the city. Sheila is the one that proposes it to him, and I love that she stands up when Fisk is saying to her, I thought you were on my side. I thought you supported me. And she says, no, I support the office of the mayor, and you're no longer the mayor, effectively. So a nice little moment for Sheila there after the whole season, where she's been by his side, but not in full support of him. So I love that she finally had a moment to stand up again. Yeah,
I didn't like this offer. Being very personally, I'm like, it feels. I think it's supposed to feel that way, which is that you're kind of going, well, hold on, why a guy who's done all this bad stuff gets to go away and walk away and live on an island. So I think you're supposed to feel that way.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to feel like that in the world today, that someone in a position of power would be released from that, and the only thing would be that they're no longer in power, but they're able to live on their own island, isolated out in the world, punishment, huh? You live on the island that you built for yourself. But we know he doesn't like sand between his toes, Chris. So
that's true. It's the ultimate.
It's going to really irritate him. One person who does get their comeuppance at the hands of somebody else, which I just want to mention, because we mentioned obviously Powell goes to prison, not really getting his comeuppance. Fisk doesn't go to prison, so not getting his comeuppance. But we do have a moment between Heather Glenn and D.A. Hochberg, the slime ball that he is, who is trying to offer her a way out to go along with him, but won't even give him up his jacket for someone who's dying on the floor in Book. and he tries to touch her on the shoulder. Bad move, mate. I love that he gets the throat punch from Heather Glenn saying, "Do not ever touch me." This is a woman who was allowed to strangle Buck a couple of weeks ago. You know, that's the kind of person that she wants to be around. Somebody will always ask her whether she wants to be touched or not. Not this guy, D.A. Hopberg, who's like, we can run away together, even though you might despise me, because I'm a man and have money. So yeah, I love that he got the throat punch from her.
And then you do see Buck smile very wide at her when she sits down.
Absolutely. So Buck's still alive, at least. Will we move on to our next case now, Chris?
Let's do it.
Order in the court. I'm loving that these are all working really well for our final episode. They haven't worked very well for all season, Chris. So I like that we have our courtroom moments here. So our fourth point really is the dual battle throughout the courthouse, because it starts with the anger of Fisk at this offer to step down and step away from the office of the mayor through Sheila. He's so angry at that, it just incenses him. And you see him running towards the door going, open the door now. And then he pulls it open himself, saying boo to the first protester outside, and cracking his skull as he punches him across the room and into a wall. Like, wow, here we go. This is the Wilson Fisk of old.
Yeah.
You know, I think, and you're a comic book fan as well, Chris, you know, this story has been in the comics, this Mayor Fisk idea. And it's always like, hang on a second, well, how can a person like Wilson Fisk, who has been in serious actual brawls and fighting and killed lots of people himself in the comic books, how can he get into a position like the mayor? When is the point where he is going to break out and start punching people in the face? So I'm so glad we got to see a moment of this in the TV show where we actually see the brutal Wilson Fisk just go all out, punching people left and right.
Yeah. And it's been coming and kind of telegraphed since the moment Vanessa initially got glass in the temple. From that point onwards, he become quite enraged and sensed, and it starts, you could see it building and building and building. I think my hesitancy on seeing Wilson end up in Tahiti on an island. That's a one for all of our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans.
Absolutely. I think he might be the new occupant of Epstein Island.
Yeah,
to be honest.
potentially. But seeing how many people he kills as he brutally makes his way through the corridor towards the front entrance. So, and then getting to see the parallels, which is the pure violence of Wilson Fisk, as we have Jessica Jones, Matt as Daredevil, and then the White Tiger joining them.
Yes, we do. Yes, kind of cool to see Angela take up the mask and join them in the fight as they
and powered up,
ABTF.
like really using her powers in that way, because she used to see her really kind of flipping and jumping as much as Matt would, for example, off the walls.
Interestingly, as I said, I was watching the Defenders miniseries, in the first episode where the four Defenders come together and have their own hallway fight. This is exactly what it reminded me of, where we have Jessica, Matt, and Angela fighting down the corridor with the ABTF in front of them. It looked very like the Defenders scene as well, so I thought that was quite a nice little callback.
Yeah. For me, I think that there's the missed opportunity in this episode is that this should have been a single take. Can you imagine, like, it is the epitome, as you said, of the hallway scene. And most Daredevil seasons have a hallway scene. Have a scene, a one take. So we got it earlier. We got it earlier this season in the warehouse. This for me would have been now I don't know how you would do it, because you have to do Fisk. They were cutting to Fisk and cutting to Peace back to the other team. But it's just, I think that personally, and I will very hand on heart say, it's a beautiful scene. It is so well choreographed.
Correct.
It is fantastic to see how they each of them use their powers. But personally, I would have loved to see it as a one-taker.
I know. There's just so much complexity in those scenes. There's so much choreography that has to take place. you do have to use the actors to hand it off, which is what they've always done with Charlie Cox and his stunt person. They've always had him handing off the scenes so that it looks like it's all done in one take. And I know, and this actually has come out this week, just for those people that wanted to see more Jessica Jones this season, for example. They have addressed it and said they'd love to have had Kristen Ritter more in this season, but she was in New York to work on another project. She was there to work on the last season of Dexter. When it comes to season 3, she's signed up fully. That is her role that she'll be working on, but she's a massively busy actor and writer and mother. So, she's got lots and lots going on. She literally was there as a cameo. They filmed lots of her stuff in a really short period of time. So her being available to do something as big as a one shot, a one take corridor scene would have been quite difficult this season. We might see some of that next season. But I think they probably went, right, we'll do something with Charlie Cox as a nod back to the one take scene. They did it with Bullseye, of course, in the diner this season as well. So we had 2 massive action sequences. And I think the one thing they stuck the landing on, and we'll talk about it in a second with the end of this, of these fighting through the corridor. The one thing they stuck the landing on is Daredevil isn't just an action adventure show. It is also about the character moments. It's also about law. It's also about the courtroom scenes. And if you just have people being punched in the face all the time, well, then you're doing just a standard action show, like The Arrow or Flash, those kind of TV shows that always have to have hero punches villain in the face, and that's the end of your episode. So what an interesting way to close out this season of Daredevil, having Fisk cracking skulls all the way through the courthouse, having Daredevil, Jessica, and Angela fighting their way through his own personal army, and then when they meet up, Daredevil's personal army, or the people that think they represent Daredevil, start to attack Fisk, and Daredevil has to stop them. Daredevil and Jessica Jones have to stop the resistance fighters, I guess is the best way to call the protesters, from ripping Fisk apart. They have to calm them down with words and tell them they're better than this. They aren't there to kill Fisk. They're there to take him out, remove him from the situation. And it's dealt with Matt giving the offer one last time to Fisk for him to leave the city. Yeah.
And it's given in a way that it is very poignant, I suppose. No, heartfelt. Like, yes. It harkens back to their fight in Fisk's personal chambers, where he had the rabbit in a snowstorm, the painting. Mm-hmm. It harkened back to their conversation there. It harkened back to their conversations throughout many of the seasons, where it is like, this will continue. When does this end? Well, it ends with justice. It ends with neither of us are willing to give up the city. The city, we live and breathe the city as much as the city lives and breathes with us. Yeah. But it can only end when one of us leaves. So you get all that, and the ending is the acceptance by Fisk.
Yes, it's the offer. The offer that Matt gives him is to give the city peace, even if we do not have peace. Yeah. Maybe we can solve this with grace. Love it, absolutely.
And calling back to the Christian moments, the Christian kind of third for grace over acceptance and all that jazz.
Absolutely. And the Foggy moment, where Foggy taught Matt grace is an important tool that's in the armory, right? It's not. I kind of like this. I'm really intrigued to hear what our fellow defenders and what the general consensus is on this. I know there's always been this push from the Daredevil show right back to the first season on Netflix that Matt isn't a killer. He isn't someone that goes out and murders people. Whether they're villainous or not, he doesn't want to kill someone. If someone dies at his hands, it's not a choice of Matt. He wants to keep people alive. He wants them to face justice. So here, this decision to not allow the protesters rip Fisk apart, to talk everybody down and give him one final offer that allows the city that both of them love to go on, by both of them deciding we can't be in this city anymore. One going off to his private island to stretch out on the sand, and the other being taken off to prison. Because by this point, Matt knows he's going to jail, I think.
Yeah, I think they made that call once he decided to essentially just go, I am Daredevil.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's interesting. There's a line on it which I noticed the second time I was watching it, and after they dismiss the case, the judge that dismisses it says, and Mr. Murdock stay in the court.
Yes.
So she's saying to him, you've revealed yourself as the vigilante. You will be facing prosecution, effectively. Everything goes and changes after that, of course. But yeah, she's effectively saying to him, since you've said you're a vigilante, you can't like walk out the front doors right now, you know?
But he does, but that's a different story.
Yeah. Well, eventually he does.
Yes.
Speaking of which, will we move on to our final case note?
Let's do it.
Because there's a big wrap up from this point onwards. Everything else is in the montage, basically.
Can it be a montage?
Yeah, all to the wonderful tunes of Radiohead's Pyramid Song, one of my favourite Radiohead songs. Absolutely love it. I love the reason why they've chosen this song. I think is for a specific line in there. There's one of the lines is "There's nothing to fear, nothing in doubt." The man without fear, the city without fear is such a central theme to the series, choosing that as the Radiohead lyric to play over this montage of everything that's happening to everybody. Fisk on his island, Matt going to prison, then the reveal of Lady Muse, I guess. Heather Glenn sticking on the stinky mask from her would-be murderer, or the person she murdered last season. What do you think of that one, Chris?
I liked it the only reason I liked it is because they stuck in her looking in the mirror with the mask on, seeing herself, hearkening back to without the mask. Yeah. Sorry. So her masked self is when she takes off this Muse mask. So when she is maskless, she is being her. That is so basically hearkening to her courtroom, where Matt had asked, well, are you, like, what is a mask? What is a vigilante? What is that part? And so essentially she has become Muse. That is who she is. And partly in thanks to Buck. Mm-hmm. So Buck has kind of trained her on that, which I did have a question on.
Yes.
Buck alive?
We don't know. I was interested. We watched it together. Myself and John watched it together. First time, neither of us had seen the episode. And even by the time they're in the courthouse and the news reporter's outside, it's gone from daylight to dark.
Yep.
And Buck is sitting on the floor, and Heather Glenn's going, he's pretty cold, gonna get a jacket. And John's like, he'd be dead by now. He absolutely would be dead. Now, the only thing that I have to go on, because I'm not in any way medically trained, the only thing I have to go on is a monologue in Reservoir Dogs, if you remember the Quentin Tarantino movie. One of the guys takes a gut shot, and the other criminal with him, Harvey Keitel, says, if you take a gut shot, you will eventually die, but it's the longest way to die. It takes way longer than being hit in any other part of your body. Because that's the whole premise of the movie, that you don't know when the character's going to die, and loads of stuff is being revealed because he's dying over hours and hours and hours. So Buck did take a gut shot. He got shot in the stomach. So that's my feeling, that he was able to live long enough for somebody to come in and take him off to hospital, and we'll see him next season. Yeah,
I do think because we didn't see him die, I think he is alive. I think, if anything, he will train Lady Muse. That's where she will learn her additional skills. She definitely has throat punching down, and choking down. And choking seems there, but the rest she will need to learn, and you can see he will be the man in the chair to Lady Muse, if you will. He will be that oracle to Batman, etc., etc.
He does have some interesting ways of killing people, right?
Just on skills
this season, right?
I'm okay with it. But seeing her don the mask and then seeing that scene in the mirror really just solidifies that kind of, I'm very interested to see where that goes throughout the next season. Yeah.
I must say, I absolutely love the back and forth in that piece in the courtroom with Matt and Heather, where Matt's asking, do you think Karen has to wear a mask if she's a vigilante? And she goes, no, she's using Daredevil as a mask. And he goes, oh, like you're using the Fisk organization as your mask. And then the defense rests, basically. So you got a really good dig in there at her potentially being a vigilante using Kingpin as her mask. I thought that was very cool. Very cool.
I do think she'll go after Karen. I think because she is not Karen, she is not in any way like superhuman. I think her target, if anything, would be another human and this person who made her who outed her in her mind, who took away her boyfriend, yada, 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 will be Karen Page. So I think that's like Karen will be hunted by Lady Muse, if you would call it that.
I definitely think that's going to happen. Yes. All because Matt woke up out of his coma and asked for Karen, who hadn't been seen for for months on end in front of Heather Glenn. Yes, bad buzz. One of the big moments in the finale is that we have Jessica Jones with her wonderful, lovely daughter Danielle as Luke Cage arrives back, dressed in his awesome outfit. I love that this looks like Mayor Cage from the comic books. He has that cool look. Comes in, gives her a massive hug, and she closes the door, and the glass is in place. Alias Investigations is back in operation. Probably hasn't gone out of operation for the last 8 or 9 years, but awesome to see that we have the two of them back together in Hell's Kitchen, and Alias Investigations is there and ready to go.
Yeah. And I just can't wait to see. I really hope upon hope that people watch the next season, that they are given next season, like Jessica Jones is given the right amount of time. She becomes even more beloved, and we get a new season on Disney Plus of Jessica Jones. Because I think the character of Kristen Ritter, now being a mum too, with her powers in and out, it gives a lot of potential for story. And we've seen a resurgence of Jessica Jones in the comic books. So we definitely know there's a wider audience as well. And we saw a resurgence of Jessica Jones from Netflix when it came to Disney Plus. So it's about booking in Kristen Ritter, because she is a very busy actress, and then just writing. And I think that's one where I would love to see the powers that be really kind of lean towards, as long as everything goes well next season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll repeat once again what the powers that be at Disney have said. Watch the episodes as they're coming out. That's the only way to guarantee a 4th season. I've seen absolutely tons of articles on the drop off from season 1, the lower viewing figures for Daredevil season 2, and the response that I've seen, at least online, is loads of people are just waiting for the full season to come out and then watch it. They don't care anymore. They don't want to watch it week to week anymore. If they're watching it like that, Disney's not going to produce this stuff. We're more likely to get things like The Punisher, one last kill, this 1 hour episode, rather than getting a series of the TV. And I think there's a place for both. I'd love to see more Disney TV, actual TV shows with multiple episodes over multiple weeks that get people really interested in the characters and lots to discuss. It's not about just the story. It's about a weekly story. It's about ongoing storytelling, and the fact that we're already down to just 8 episodes in these shows instead of the 13 we used to have in the past, where we can't explore the characters and why they're doing what they're doing. Something that I think really was lost in this season was Kristen McDuffie. She's a very competent lawyer who used to work for D.A. Hochberg. There would have been a storyline as to why she was resistant to challenge what he was doing in court, because she worked with him in the past and they had a connection in the past, and it was all boiled down to one line when he turned to work for Fisk, where she's going, "I can't believe that you've sold your soul like that." That's kind of it. If that was in a proper TV show, like the old Netflix days, we would have had some more characterization work for her, and now she feels like she was almost incompetent without Matt being around. I know that sounds really bad, but she only had 1 or 2 lines, and she was the lead attorney on the case, right? She was and running the practice when Matt wasn't around as well. So she's definitely competent, just wasn't shown on screen because they didn't have time, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything else on the wrap up, Chris?
The final is, and we've already mentioned it, Matt ends up in prison. He is taken away from his beautiful date with Karen, where they thought they'd have more time. I did for a second when he did his usual cocked head and we heard sirens. I was like, oh, is he going to run off and be Daredevil again? I thought we were going to get almost like a Spider-Man, Peter Parker on a date with MJ, hearing a kind of an alert and then running off, and we would have seen Daredevil kind of running across rooftops, jumping, twisting, things like that. So it was interesting. I did not think he would end up in jail. So seeing that fallout, I think, is interesting for a setup for next season. I think that's key, which is, well, what do you do when Matt Murdock and Daredevil are in prison. I think in the comic books at one point Elektra was Daredevil. And
Yeah.
like I think
Up
it was when,
until
I think,
quite recently, actually, yeah.
I think that was when Matt was
Lady
dead.
Daredevil.
But anyway, do you have Karen Page? Do you have Elektra? Do we bring back Elodie Young as Elektra next season, who dons her suit plus a mask and a thing? Like, do we have resistance fighters as We Are Daredevil, and you have an army of people dressed as Daredevil who are Daredevil? It's interesting to see where you take it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where I end a lot of it, which is, I wish it was a fantastic ending, but I wish I got an inch more, just because something to kind of wet the whistle, kind of. But I think what they did purposely was, here is some threads that, if we left it at this, if we did not get a season 3, you're okay. You know where things are headed. But they're like, okay, well, we're getting a season 3, so it's also, you can kind of fantasize about where it may go.
Exactly. Like what we've really got here is we've got the city streets will be taken care of because Luke Cage and Jessica Jones are back in Hell's Kitchen, so that's fine while Daredevil's in prison. We've got that, and then we've got Punisher's coming next week. We've got a story there in the city of New York coming up very soon, and then we've got Spider-Man coming up in just about a month's time. So we're going to get to see that as well, right? So we'll have some indication of what's going on in New York, but it takes Matt off the table for any other appearances in things like the Avengers Doomsday between now and next year, right? So they have a reason why Matt will not appear anywhere else, even Spider-Man, I would guess at this stage, because he's in prison, right? You'd have to have a reason to break Matt out of jail to appear in Spider-Man, so they don't have to do that now.
But isn't it interesting that there was a prison scene in the Spider-Man trailer?
There's always a prison scene. Sure,
Yes.
all the Sinister Six are in prison,
Exactly.
Chris.
Exactly.
And now in there with Daredevil. They're trapped in there with him. Any other notes, Chris, that you want to mention for the episode before we close it out?
None from my side.
Fantastic. Truth is great and shall prevail is one note that I took, and I just thought was really funny. That's the quote that's sitting in the courtroom above. That must be. I should look up who that quote should be attributed to, because in a courtroom having "truth is great" written on the wall, it just seemed a little underplayed for a courtroom. So, Chris, one last thing to do then. Silence. Do you defend this episode? Chris, do you defend Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8?
Yes. Much like John, who's no longer with him, rest in peace. Or rest his voice in peace.
Rest his voice in peace, absolutely.
I give it 5 Indian takeouts out of 5. This is actually one of the better endings. Definitely better than last season's ending. And I think it just, as a whole, for an episode, gave you everything you wanted in a Daredevil episode. It gave you courtroom, it gave you Fisk versus Matt, it gave you some emotion, it gave you action, it gave you Daredevil, it wrapped things up well, but also left some things on the table. So yeah, for me, this was a fantastic episode. One of the better ones. Derek, what about you? Do you defend this episode of Daredevil?
Absolutely, yeah, totally agree with you, Chris. This is an excellent finale for Daredevil. And what I love about it is this can only be done in comic book TV. Yeah? So we've wondered about comic books being translated to TV shows and where they fit in genres and what type of TV show they'll be. It could be an action adventure show like 100 other action adventure shows. It could be a courtroom drama like a million other courtroom dramas. It could be a police procedural like 1,000 billion other police procedurals. This is Daredevil. And having the idea of the person that you're trying to take down throughout the entire season in Wilson Fisk becoming mayor, you're going, well, how are they going to deal with it? Are they going to deal with it in one of those 3 genres? Will it be the action adventure, punch in the face? Will it be the police procedural, put in prison? Will it be courtroom drama, taken down by the justice system? What I didn't expect to happen was the comic book way, where Wilson Fisk rips open the door and starts crushing people's heads before facing off against our Daredevil hero, where they don't throw punches and they talk him down and they come to a resolution, which is about giving the city piece, it is about grace and plays into the show. It really felt like a comic book. It felt like the final issue in an 8-issue arc telling the story of Daredevil, Daredevil Born Again, and Mayor Fisk. I loved it. Thought it was absolutely excellent. And again, something that could never be done in any other type of show other than a comic book show, I think.
Yeah, no,
so I love it.
Agreed.
Well done, lads. Well done.
Well done. Bullibus, take a round.
Absolutely. Speaking of taking a round, Chris, let's go to the pub.
Yay!
Yes, off to the Josie's Bar for our final question in our Josie's Bar Quiz Season 2. Question 8, Chris.
What is Mayor Wilson Fisk's middle name?
Did we know this before?
We did. From literally the Netflix when we had his origin.
Right. I didn't know that we knew his middle name. But, Chris, do you want to give the question one more time?
One more time. What is Mayor Wilson Fisk's middle name?
Fantastic. There you go. That is the 8th question of 8. All you need to do is gather together the correct answers to all 8 questions. Email them to feedback@tvpodcastindustries.com and you could be in with a chance of getting your hands on some Daredevil goodies. We have 2 weeks, I think, before we'll be recording our roundup episode, maybe 3, given all the other stuff that's going on at the moment. We want to close out the boys in their final season as well, which will be finishing in about 2 weeks' time. So you have a bit of time to get all your answers into us. We hope you join us for our pub quiz and our wrap up. And that email address is the same place you send in your feedback for each of the episodes or for this whole season of Daredevil Born Again. Let's go over to our fellow defenders for some feedback, Chris.
Let's do it.
First up, we have a voicemail in from Harrison Fox.
Greetings, vigilante supporters. When I was a boy, my father always told me to know your worth, which is why after being offered a plea deal for illegal arms trading, I made sure to murder like 20 people before accepting it. And he still ends up on that beach. Amazing finale. Unbelievable. The courtroom scene to top all courtroom scenes. Daredevil unmasked, BB unmasked, Lady Muse unmasked via a mask, Jessica Jones not only getting coffee with Luke, but now stitching up Matt. She's really embracing that Claire role. No, just unbelievable. The callback to Karen and Matt's first date at the restaurant. I think this was just perfect. Everything about this was perfect. A great way to leave off the series right now. Matt being in prison, and we have Spider-Man coming out in 2 months. And spoilers if you didn't see the trailer, we know that Spider-Man's going to be fighting the Hand in a prison. Maybe there's a connection. I don't know. No, fantastic. I cannot wait to hear what you guys have to say. Just 5 injured bucks out of 5. Loved it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Harrison.
Yeah, thanks, Harrison. Yeah, they did do a lot of unmasking. When you look at it, when you say it like that, I do agree with you though, which is like Fisk, like just randomly, well, not randomly, Fisk murdering like 13 people, or at least grievously harming like 6 and killing 6. Before he takes a plea deal and runs away and gets full immunity. You're like, okay, fair.
But they do say he has to give up his American citizenship, don't they? So
yes.
He is kind of stuck on that island, and he does have a big problem with sand. That's all that's there is just sand. He doesn't have a house or anything. He's living out on the beach. No, I think you're right. It's almost like in that moment where he cracks, he goes, and I've been holding back from killing people for so long. I think I need to kill some people before I take that plea deal. Because the plea deal doesn't change, even though he kills a bunch of people in the courthouse, right?
Yeah, the only thing I was actually hoping was that because it was, some of it looked like a CGI beach, I was hoping that it would kind of fade away and it would be him in prison,
right,
staring at a wall. Or staring at a white wall and imagining himself on the beach.
Right.
That's what I was hoping for. We don't get that.
We don't get that. No, we don't. Excellent stuff. Thanks, Harrison, for your voicemail as well. We've got an email in from Raina as well. Raina says, "Greeting, lads. What a fantastic final. This is probably up there with the Netflix seasons for me. As cathartic I Beat You was, the whispering acceptance from Fisk was just as good for me. I appreciate the fact they spent so long in the courtroom building the tension. I like how Matt took control of his own fate and didn't let Fisk out him. Excited to see if they do The Devil in Cell Block D for season 3. Very good. Heather has finally accepted the mask now. I do wonder how she is going to be as Muse. She isn't necessarily very artistic or skilled in fighting. On the other hand, is Buck okay? Bleeding out on the ground, unemployed, mind you. Also, Daniel says, how long till you end up on the floor with a gun pointed at your head? And this literally the next day it happens. It was good to see Powell in prison, though. I'd rather see him dead. And Cole North finally reverted to the side he should be on. Luke returning this episode was unexpected. Dex going Mr. Charles feels like a setup to get Bullseye into the Thunderbolts or something like that. I know the show has gotten criticism for its shorter runtime, which I think really just comes down to Disney being Disney. But with what they were given, I think they executed a great season. I'm giving them leeway for not wrapping everything up, given the time and the possibility to wrap it up next season. The story isn't finished yet. 5, When I Was a Boys, out of 5. Laters, Gators. Raina. Excellent stuff, Raina. Thanks very much for the feedback there. Yeah, I think I said it earlier on. I've said it multiple times throughout the season. The big challenge for Disney is balancing the cost of these shows and the viewership. That's kind of it. You know, we've had some big successes and things like The Mandalorian on Disney, which is finally making it to the movie theaters. But we've had some shows that have crashed without people watching them on a weekly basis, and that's what they are planning it into. If you have a show that's 8 episodes long, comes out weekly, that's 2 subscriptions, what they're expecting out of that. Everybody to pay for 2 months so they watch the 8 episodes. And if people are just buying, 1 month to watch all episodes in 1 month, they're halving the amount of revenue they can expect from it. There's all the financy revenue typey thing. So, we are more likely to get shorter shows, less episodes in future, I would say, rather than having longer shows, unfortunately. Yeah,
there was a discussion in one of the trades about how some seasons might even go to 6 episodes. So shorter production time, shorter editing time, so you're basically cutting 2 episodes off, but they still get the theoretical 2 months out of someone. Or it will actually be 5 weeks because it's 2 episodes to kick off and then 4 episodes. So I remember reading that in the trades and I was like, yeah, that actually makes somewhat sense. But you're cutting an 8-hour show down to a 6-hour show. Again, just cutting it in half and half and half and half until it is essentially just a movie in 2.5 hours. Or 3.
And I know the other thing for Daredevil was that they had 18 episodes originally commissioned.
Yep.
They did 9 episodes in season 1, 8 episodes season 2, and the reason they lost an episode was so they could redirect the budget to retool season 1 to turn it into a show much more like the Netflix Daredevil, which they knew they expected most people would prefer.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But thanks, Raina. No, I agree. I think most of the things you said which is most people are happy and we are getting a season 3 and interested to see where it goes.
Exactly. I love the idea that Daniel has a superpower of clairvoyance. That he's, how long is it going to be before you're bleeding on the ground with somebody pointing a gun at you? And that's basically what happened to Buck. It is really sad that Daniel's gone. I must say, Vincent D'Onofrio's delivery in that moment when he's told by Buck that Daniel didn't deliver BB and he knows that Daniel has been killed by Buck. It's a completely silent moment, but you see it in the face of Vincent D'Onofrio that Daniel didn't last, I suppose. And then he delivers the line, I feel the pressure of the city on me. I didn't realize it in the past. And you feel that's kind of connected to Daniel as well. So really great scene, I thought.
Yeah, no, 100%. Thanks so much, Raina.
Thanks, Raina.
Over on another email, we have feedback from Coffee and Vodka, who had this to say. Greetings, fellow courted defenders. Even without including Turk, Claire, or Melvin, it's clear what this season has been. Clean up on aisle Daredevil Born Again Season 1. With that ending, it seems as though, with Daredevil Born Again Season 3, we are about to finally get Daredevil Season 4, with absolutely the best Daredevil source material ever, the Brubaker era. The Devil in Cell Block D and Return of the King have been firmly queued up, and I could not be happier. But we are here to talk about this episode and this season. In both cases, I'd have to say Poindexter elevated both as a provider of quality violence and as Scardapane's chief broom. His diner scene will forever be right up there with Daredevil's first hallway kerfuffle. The final confrontation between Daredevil and Kingpin could only be what it was, satisfyingly verbal, with the courthouse replacing the diner after already having had their physical fight. I do take some issue with the ease with which the crowd was stopped from tearing Wilson apart, especially after his previously injuring and killing so many protesters. Don't see much happening with the Lady Muse in the future, unless she's to replace Lady Bullseye, possible spoiler. But of Powell's fate, being stuck in the slammer with Matt, there's little doubt. Likewise, it looks like BB's been more or less shelved. It was great to see Jessica reunited with Luke, while giving Benjamin a purpose. Finally, though more cameo than featured, it was a pleasure to meet Agent Shaggy. All in all, an excellent transitional episode and season. 4.5 bookshots, pasted protesters, and self-outed avocados out of 5. Peace and take care, coffee and vodka. Ah yes, avocados and law outed. Good callback.
Absolutely great stuff, coffee and vodka. Is BB off the table? Interesting. I love the fact that we have Ellison back here. We'd noticed that she was sending that text message to Ellison from the Daredevil seasons on her phone. She was texting him, so she had a connection. I'd like to think that what the show's really talking about there is the difference between her doing her online BB report and being recognized by legitimate media like the New York Bulletin, and people like Fisk talk about legitimate media as being fake news, but now that he's gone, the news can take over again and start reporting again. So she's now got a place within legitimate media, just like Ben Urich did. So I think that's what they're really saying with her. She will become the news reporter for season 3 of Daredevil Born Again. Rather than her being off the table, she'll be able to be part of news media, which will start reporting correct news again, rather than being the mouthpiece of the mayor. Right?
Yes, and also some of those pieces were from Ben on Daredevil and Kingpin. So
yes, he was given the box of his of all of his articles from back in the day as well. So yeah, very cool.
So allowing her to almost build up additional cases and stuff like that, and kind of understand the story of Daredevil.
Yes, and in a good Daredevil show, somebody has to work at the Bulletin. Even Karen worked there for a while, didn't she?
Exactly.
Great stuff. Thanks, Coffee Vodka, and thanks for your feedback throughout the season as well. It's been great hearing your thoughts as we went throughout the season. We have another voicemail, Chris.
Ooh,
a voicemail from
2-in-1.
Steve Brown. Yes.
Hello, TV podcast industries. This is Steve, and this is for all right. Is it Defenders? Is it Defenders for both the boys and Daredevil? Anyway, this is for Daredevil, the season 2 final episode. Wow, such a great final episode set up for the next season as well. And that reveal at the end, I was not spoiled about Luke Cage's return, so it was great to see him walk in the door there at the end. Jessica closes the door and we see the alias investigation sign, which is intact apparently. So at least for now, we'll see how long, that lasts. But, yeah, it's a great final episode. Matt going to jail, Kingpin on his island, somewhere. I guess we'll have to see, where we go from here. What is season 3 going to hold for us? What do they have? I mean, we've got Matt in jail. How is he going to get out of this? Can't wait to watch it again and then talk about it with my podcast partner. Talk to you later.
Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'll be looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say over in the Panels to Pixels podcast about Daredevil. Thanks for taking the opportunity to send us in a voicemail with your thoughts as well. It's on Defenders, it's fellow Defenders, and boys, it's fellow boys and girls.
Yeah.
That's the difference, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah. And on Gen V, because it's in college, we called them alumni, didn't we? So,
We did.
That was the
Students.
difference.
Oh, we did the Light and Darksiders, or the Sith, Jedi, over when we covered some of the Bad Batch. We've done many.
Yes, we usually come up with something fun, but always for the Marvel shows, it's always been Defenders, right back to our first days on there. But yes, great to hear your thoughts. I'm glad you enjoyed the episode as much as we did as well.
Yeah, I agree, and I can't wait to hear more over on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks, Steve. We also got an email in from Meryl Smith who says, Order in the Court, the finale of Daredevil Born Again is here and has now concluded, and it was spectacular. After all the battles in this entire season, the biggest one happened in Matt's perfect arena of choice, the court, where he does his best work. Fisk already suffered a severe enough beating from Matt a couple of episodes ago, where he kind of hit at the heart of what this conflict really does boil down to between the two of them, their love for New York, and if they have the ability to walk away from it to save it. You can tell how in this element he really is, considering how many times he's shown smiling and making jokes already, like it's an easy layup for him to expose the truth to Fisk. Also, I love a good reference to A Few Good Men, getting a person to reveal things that they weren't even on trial for. Classic. There's a statement in The Spectacular Spider-Man said by Green Goblin that goes, "We all wear masks, but which one is which? The one that hides your face or the one that is your face?" And that's the general gist of what is getting from that discussion between Matt and Heather. Once the reveal happens, I think that was the final push that she needed to complete her transformation. That and punching that guy in the neck into Lady Muse. One of my favourite little moments was Fisk whispering to Matt from the other room, knowing that he could hear him, with Matt responding to him and having to cover in front of other people. The back and forth between them reaches its fever pitch with him revealing his identity. I am Daredevil, a la Tony Stark's I am Iron Man style, with the creative staff Ricochet tossing it to be as dramatic as possible. Powell's reaction was priceless, and it did give him some points in my book for the humour of the situation. He's now at -20. For a moment there, I did think it was Buck in that bullseye suit, but apparently Fisk found time in his busy schedule to hire an impersonator who definitely won't be in season 3. It looks like Dex is finally on the other end of that trick, but there's only Bullseye, and there's only ever going to be one. Which made me think of a funny bit in which Dex removes the mask of a copycat Bullseye and it's revealed to be Colin Farrell. And what's a Daredevil series without a hallway fight scene? Matt's second one with Jessica Jones. What makes this better is that even Kingpin got in on it. Boo. I also couldn't help but think about the Rogue One Darth Vader hallway scene too, because of the similar vibes and level of brutality. My favourite scene was definitely seeing Kingpin covered in the blood of the people of the city and saying that they're wrong about him and he fought for them. I think that he may have gotten a couple of wires crossed there. I still don't understand there was even still a deal to be offered after that slaughter, but I digress. This was definitely an interesting new status quo to put Matt and Fisk in this time around. One's in jail and the other in exile. A special shout out to the officer whose name keeps escaping me every time I remember it. It escapes me again. She's talking about Cole. That one standing up to Powell and letting the people into the courthouse while also not being let off the hook for the actions that he did still do in the line of duty. Next is BB, who is the great spirit of people taking off their masks, remove her own when exposing all of Fisk's dirty deeds. Love the creative use of the colour red in that scene as well. Karen even gets a moment to shine here, and I love that she and Mac had a nice quiet dinner together, even if it was brief. Another thing to highlight is that I'm sure Spider-Man is somewhere remembering that moment in his apartment and coming to his own realisation about why his lawyer was able to catch that brick. Very good. It was good seeing another fellow defender in the form of Luke Cage. Sweet Christmas. I'm also intrigued by that spin-off pitch of Bullseye and Mr. Charles, which I call Shaggy Dex. It'll be nice to move on to some other members of Daredevil's rogues gallery. The Defender setup is here, and I look forward to seeing what they do next. 5 hallway slaughterfest scenes out of 5. Fantastic. Thanks, Meryl.
Thanks, Meryl. Yes, Slaughterfest scenes is definite. There was a fair amount of blood in this one. Actually, when you think
there certainly was. Yeah. And I think just because we have Fisk always in the white suit, the blood really shows up when Fisk is crushing skulls. I think in the past he'd taken off that white jacket, but not even willing to do that here. He's just going to go straight through every protester he can get his hands on throughout it. Meryl, I absolutely love the idea that if we took off that mask, it would be Colin Farrell. And I'm sure, knowing Colin Farrell's sense of humour, he would have loved to have been in it for just a quick second.
Yeah, no. God, can you imagine?
He definitely would have done it.
I would. He would have. I did like the fake at home thrift store poser costume they did pull together. Like, and you can see the comparative. It's basically like the cosplay versus the actual, or the homemade versus the actual professional cosplayer kind of version. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Like, genuinely, because I didn't know what was coming when I watched it the first time, I was going, that's just the outfit that snipers who work for the SWAT team wear. And that's where Dex got his outfit from. He must have kept it when he was a sniper. You know, he must have just retooled it slightly from when he was a sniper. And then I was going, oh, no. The guy is dressed up in cosplay as him. Okay, great. I get it now. So, So I was fooled for a second.
Yay. And that's why they did it.
Exactly. Brilliant stuff. Thanks, Meryl. We're going to pop over to Discord for our next bit of feedback, Chris.
Yes. Over on Discord, Dr. Bob had this to say. Shot through the liver and Bullseye's to blame. He gives vigilantes a bad name. Yes, just in case Chris makes it to the podcast, to set the ears of the listeners bleeding. Yay.
I had to be here for this one, Chris.
I had to, just because Dr. Bob specifically requested me.
But if you'd read it in advance, you would have had the Bon Jovi song in your head, wouldn't you?
I would have, but I wouldn't have sang just because Dr. Bob called it out. If he hadn't have called it out, I probably would have sang it.
Probably would have sang.
Yeah, see, that's how it works. Yeah, you zig, I zag. Wow.
That's it.
Dr. Bob went on to say, never expected Matt to out himself, the White Tiger to finally appear, or for the resolution to be Grace. Although that is the perfect way for Daredevil to undo the deadlock with Fisk. Mm-hmm. Absolutely brilliantly balanced episode that brought everything the arc delighted in: courtroom twist, corridor fights, romance and heartbreak, and justice standing up where the law stepped aside. Plus a throat punch for the creepy DA.
Absolutely. You know, honestly, I think that was probably my favourite moment in the episode, even if it was Heather Glenn that did it. I think I just enjoyed seeing that horrible DA get a punch in the throat.
Yeah,
so
no,
much.
100%. Thanks, Dr. Bob.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dr. Bob. Over in our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/TV Podcast Industries, Joel Sharpton says, an amazing episode in an alarmingly good season. Rivals the best of the Netflix season for sure. Didn't love the use of Jessica, but my guess is that's mostly set up for the future. Can't wait to see Punisher next week.
Thanks, Joel. Yeah, I didn't know, but as Derek said, like she was busy filming Dexter, so that made sense. So yeah, set up, but more fantastic that we have her. My namesake continues to rock on screen.
Absolutely, Christopher Jessica Jones.
Yep.
I just remember when the announcement came in that she was cast in Dexter, lots of Daredevil fans were going, but Dexter shoots in New York, Daredevil shoots in New York, can she not appear for an episode? And she was going, no, it's a full-time job being over in Dexter. And then we watched the season of Dexter and she didn't appear in it as much as I was expecting her to appear in it. She has about 3 or 4 episodes, I think it is. She's a very big character in it, but 3 or 4 episodes, I think. And she was supposed to be a central character. And that's when I started to suspect that she might be over in filming both at the same time, basically. So, very cool.
Thanks, Joel. We also have some feedback from Alyssa Lynn Muscat. One of my favourite Matt court scenes. Charlie really gave a good performance. Curious to see how they'll adapt Devil in Cell Block D, since it is so different.
That's another call out for Devil in Cell Block D.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will have to go use Marvel Unlimited and read it, or go to your local comic book store and buy some of the collected editions before next year.
Yeah. One of the things I'm always want to give away as part of our goodies for our pub quizzes is access to Marvel Unlimited, because it is great. Literally, when somebody calls out something like this, I just go into Marvel Unlimited and go, right, Devil in Cell Block D, that's my reading material for the weekend. I haven't read that in ages, so I'd love to read it again. I think it's in there, so I think that's what I'm going to be reading. So you never know. That might be what one of the goodies will be for our pub quiz. So get your answers in for that. And great stuff. Thanks, Alyssa. Mathematician says episode 8 was an episode of sacrifices. Matt sacrifices freedom to give Karen hers. We know that for sure that Daniel is dead, sacrificing himself so Bibi could survive, and Buck sacrificing himself to save Fisk's life. Putting the Kingpin in the dock was a risky move for Matt, knowing how good the mischievous mayor is at manipulating the truth. I love how the finale was written as a head-to-head between Matt v Wilson rather than Daredevil v Kingpin. Unexpected angle for me, loved it. After Matt martyred himself, allowing Fisk to keep his freedom, I would now like to see some new villains for season 3. Or it will all have been for nothing if we just have Daredevil versus Kingpin again. Hopefully the rumoured reunion for the Defenders for the next series, along with the Hand being part of this summer's Spider-Man movie, means they will head off in another direction next time around. In the meantime, the city responded to Matt's personal sacrifice by coming out to stand up to Fisk, some of them paying a heavy price of their own with shattered spines and smushed heads as Kingpin goes berserk. Matt revealing his identity, a la Tony Stark, was an enormous surprise. Everybody now knows who he is, and I can't see Doctor Strange agreeing to that dodgy spell again after the mess it caused last time. No more anonymous nighttime crime fighting. Loved how terrified the pretend Bullseye was when he realised the real deal was standing right behind him. He was bricking it, and it was great to see Angela join up with Jess and Matt to show us what she can do as the White Tiger. The least satisfying part for me was the lack of a beating Powell took, and he even gives Matt a confident, smarmy look during the scene in the prison. I desperately wanted him to pay a bigger price than he did. Also, Heather becoming Muse was a strange turn-up for me. Not sure where they'll take that moving on. A nice ending for the Defenders members, with Jessica satisfyingly calling Fisk Kingpin rather than Mayor Kingpin, emphasising to him that his reign of terror is over, and Luke Cage returning from his Black Ops work for Val to reunite the family. Matt saves Fisk's life one last time before being arrested himself and thrown behind bars. Not too sure why they haven't sent him to the Raft or Agent Cleary's DODC Supermax prison. He can escape whenever he chooses to, surely. Alias Investigations is up and running again, and Mr. Charles looks happier than the proverbial pig when collecting his Million Miles Frequent Flyer award. Great episode, great season. Bring on Frank Castle. Great stuff, Mathematician. Yeah, it is interesting. We now have a third location, right? We have just a regular prison in New York. We wondered all the way throughout Wonder Man why they weren't using the Raft. We wondered why. Now we're wondering why they're not using the DODC location or the Raft. We know that they have troubles, right? Filling up with people. And Matt has outed himself as a vigilante and superpowered, right? So yeah, he probably should be in one of those two. The only thing that I was wondering about is we don't see any court case.
Yes,
Matt's arrested by the police and he's put in prison. Similar to Karen, but Karen was put behind bars in a certain precinct that I won't name because that was a question from last week. But she's put behind bars, he's put behind a metal door, right? Is he being held there until his court case comes round? Because he must be, right? He can't just be put in prison with no due process.
I would assume it will be. Everyone keeps talking about the Devil in Cell Block D. It might actually just be the trial of Matt Murdock. In the next season, where in actual fact, rather than him being behind bars, this is like, holding, like essentially, or kind of Gen Pop holding to a degree versus Supermax, or because it does all seem very quick, and you would expect the trial of Matt Murdock to be a really interesting piece of TV. Like, he represents himself. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe does Karen, who is also an attorney, or was for a while, had some abilities.
Well, you'd hope his other partner, Kirsten McDuffie, would represent him, right? And then maybe the door swings open and Foggy comes back from the dead to defend Matt Murdock.
No, he's dead.
Probably not.
He is he is dead, deceased, no more.
But one thing that I do want to say from comic books, when Matt was revealed as being Daredevil, as far as I remember in the comic, there's a really weird one where they used Kilgrave's children to wipe the minds of everybody that knew that Matt Murdock was Daredevil. So maybe they might do that in the TV show. I don't think so. I suspect they don't want to go that route with, at least with the Daredevil TV show. But just because of the connection of Kilgrave and Jessica Jones, it would be interesting to have his kids come back and wipe everybody's mind.
Yeah.
But in the comics, it led to Wilson Fisk knowing there was something about Daredevil that he used to know and doesn't anymore, and kind of set him on an even bigger path to track down Matt Murdock. Was a really interesting storyline. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll go that way.
I'm going to have to read that.
I love comics. They just have such great storylines, don't they?
Yeah. It does sound very almost too close to Spider-Man and the films.
Yeah,
so I'd say that's
absolutely.
why they wouldn't do that. But I could see them playing a bringing Bullseye in as Daredevil or someone else cosplaying as Daredevil, the vigilante, and it's just like, well, actually, I'm Daredevil. I've been all along, and then it's your Daredevil and your Matt Murdock together at the same time. How is that possible?
Maybe that might be a way to do it. But so, yeah, I love the idea that somebody could take up the mantle while he's in prison, even if everybody thinks or everybody knows that he is or was Daredevil for a while. Somebody else taking on. I also love the fact because this is a comic book show, Chris. You said earlier on in comic books that was when Matt Murdock was dead. Because that can be a state that happens for a very short amount of time in the comic books or for a year or two. While he was dead, somebody else took on the mantle and then he came back to life, because they do in comics, right?
Now, we do know an extremely skilled martial artist who is also Caucasian and could put a beard on and could cosplay as, or could put on the costume temporarily. Maybe he comes back, seeing that we've had 3 of the 4 defenders. So maybe Danny Rand takes on, because he is no longer the Iron Fist, he could become the Daredevil.
That's also a possibility. Loads of things that we'd love to see if the show gets enough story time to tell them all. I don't know. We definitely have one more season of Daredevil coming up next year, all being filmed at the moment. So lots of speculation about what's going to be happening in that show. I'm really looking forward to it. But the one thing I am looking forward to, and is coming really, really soon, is the Punisher special presentation, One Last Kill, which is coming out in Disney Plus next week on May 12th. We are away on holidays from May 12th, unfortunately. And The Punisher, The Boys, Season 5, and Good Omens will all be coming out on the same day once again. The final episode of Good Omens, the penultimate episode of The Boys, and the one-shot that is Punisher, all coming out in one day, and we're not here. So all of those are going to have to be delayed, unfortunately, but there will be spoiler posts up for each of them on our Facebook group and on Discord. Leave your thoughts there. We want to hear what you think about them so we can discuss them in full detail when we get back from our holidays.
Yes, because much like the city rising up, you too shall rise up and write us some feedback so we can fill out the episode and discuss your thoughts, because we are defenders, you are defenders, the whole dang city is a defender.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us throughout the season. We hope you join us for a wrap-up and for our pub quiz podcast in a couple of weeks' time for Daredevil, or at the very least, join us for our Punisher special presentation in a couple of weeks' time as well. Thanks so much. We will speak to you again really soon.
Yes, thank you so much. And we'll speak to you again in a few weeks. Until then, keep watching, keep listening, and keep defending. Bye.
Bye. Right.
My voice comes to you today from 40 a day Laramie Woodbine cigarettes.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Out of 5.
Fantastic. Right. I need my notes.
Use some of that.
Chris, with that, would you like to give us the synopsis for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 8, The Southern Cross?
Sure. As Karen prayed... that actually hurt. Like, it harkens back to their fight under... in Fisk's personal chambers, where he had the white rabbit on snow. Where you... Is that it?
No.
What is it?
Rabbit in a Snowstorm.
With Chad Rabbit in a Snowstorm, the painting.
First up, we have a voicemail in from Harrison Fox.
When I was a boy...
That's not Harrison Fox, but he does do an impression of King.
That's what I was
so I wasn't wrong to leave it on for a long time. Okay, back to Harrison Fox.
Greetings, Vigilante supporters.